Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. General Hospital spoilers. Sam's memorial service causes chaos. Kristina and Molly's feud boils over. General Hospital, GH, spoilers reveal that Kelly Monaco has already filmed her final episode as Sam McCall, so we're getting close to the end of her run. There's been plenty of buzz about Sam facing a grim fate, so we should keep that in mind as we mull over what's ahead. Sam talked to Dante Falconeri, Dominic Zamprogna, about potentially putting her diving skills to good use and going after the weapon Alexis Davis, Nancy Lee Gran, got rid of. If Sam could find it, they'd be a step closer to proving it wasn't the same gun that took out John Jagger Cates, Adam J. Harrington. Of course, a dive into dangerous waters comes with risks, and that's something Dante pointed out rather ominously. Whether Sam perishes in a dive gone wrong or lands in another grisly situation instead, all signs point to her getting a fatal departure. There may or may not be a body depending on whether this is a presumed demise, but it's reasonable to think Sam's loved ones will hold a memorial service once she's passed on. Alexis Davis, Nancy Lee Gran, might still be locked up when that happens, or her remaining daughters might hold off until she's out of her current legal jam so she can help say goodbye. Regardless, Sam's memorial service could easily take a terrible turn. Things didn't go well between Molly Lansing Davis, Kristen Veganos, and Kristina Corinthos Davis, Kate Mancy, after Irene Ashford's funeral, so they may not go well when it's time to bid farewell to Sam either. That's especially true if this whole diving thing is the reason for Sam's demise. It would give Molly yet another reason to hold Kristina responsible and act like her sister set off the chain reaction that completely destroyed their family. Kristina and Molly's feud could boil over right in the middle of Sam's memorial service if they can't keep their emotions under control. Whatever the case, all eyes will be on Sam as fans await the cause of her sad exit. Will GH go with this diving disaster, a Jen Sidwell, Carlo Rhoda, shocker, or some other path to Sam's last breath? Our GH predictions point to Molly and Kristina having a showdown like never before once Sam's gone, so bad news is brewing for their relationship and the Davis family in general. General Hospital spoilers say Sam's memorial service should be a somber event when the time comes, so stay tuned for updates on all the drama. The sun shone brightly over Port Charles, but the heavy clouds of grief blanketed the Corinthos Davis family as they gathered for Sam McCall's memorial service. It was a day no one could have prepared for, despite the endless turmoil that always seemed to swirl around Sam. Her unexpected passing left a gaping hole in the lives of those who loved her, and the once formidable presence she held within her family, and the town now felt like an eerie absence that couldn't be filled. The church was packed, everyone coming to pay their respects to Sam, a woman who had fought tooth and nail for what she believed in despite the odds. Jason Morgan, her eternal love, sat in the front row, staring ahead at her framed photograph on the altar. His face, though expressionless, told the story of a man broken inside, shattered beyond repair. As mourners filtered into the service, a noticeable tension hovered in the air. Eyes darted between Kristina and Molly, whose bitter feud had become the talk of Port Charles. The Davis sisters had always been close, but recent events had driven a deep wedge between them, a wedge that was about to be fully exposed. It was common knowledge now. Kristina blamed Molly for everything. Ever since Sam's untimely death, Kristina had been unable to look at Molly without resentment burning in her eyes. The details of what had gone wrong remained murky, but whispers of secrets, lies, and betrayals filled the spaces where silence lingered too long. Molly had been there the night Sam died, and in Kristina's mind, that fact alone was unforgivable. As Alexis Davis sat between her daughters, trying her best to hold the fractured pieces of her family together. The tension between Kristina and Molly reached a boiling point. The whispers, the glares, the unspoken accusations, all of it was coming to a head. And today, of all days, during Sam's memorial, it was about to erupt. The first sign of trouble began during Alexis's eulogy. Her voice trembled with grief as she spoke of Sam, her fearless daughter who had lived and loved without apology. But as Alexis's words flowed, Kristina's body language shifted, her arms crossed tightly over her chest, her foot tapping in agitation. It wasn't long before the murmurs in the crowd began to grow louder. People couldn't help but notice Kristina's growing discomfort. Molly, sitting just a seat away, stiffened at Kristina's visible frustration. The two hadn't exchanged a civil word in days, and now, at Sam's memorial, it felt like everything was about to collapse. After Alexis finished speaking, a painful silence followed. Jason had been expected to say a few words, but the man was too lost in his grief to even move. The pressure in the room became unbearable, and finally it was Kristina who stood up, breaking the quiet as she stepped toward the front of the church. Her eyes scanned the mourners, but they settled squarely on Molly. A tremor of anger coursed through her as she began to speak, her voice wavering with the weight of the emotions she'd been carrying. "Sam was my sister," Kristina began, her gaze locked on Molly with an intensity that made everyone uncomfortable. She was fierce, independent, and always looked out for the people she loved. But sometimes the people who are supposed to love you the most let you down. Molly shifted uneasily in her seat, her hands clutching the edge of the pew as the words cut through her like daggers. She knew what was coming next. The crowd knew it too. "I know we're all here to remember Sam and honor her life, but there's something I can't ignore anymore." Kristina's voice grew louder, rawer. What happened to Sam shouldn't have happened. It was preventable. And it's because someone close to her wasn't honest. Someone made choices that led to this, and now Sam's gone because of it. The gasps from the crowd were audible, and Molly shot to her feet, her face flushed with anger. "Are you really doing this now, Kristina?" she spat, her voice tight with fury. "Are you really going to stand here and blame me for Sam's death in front of everyone?" The room, once filled with quiet reverence, now crackled with tension. People exchanged uneasy glances, unsure of what to do as the sisters stood off in front of the altar. Kristina didn't back down. "You were with her, Molly. You knew things, and you didn't say anything. You kept secrets. If you hadn't lied." Molly cut her off, her voice trembling with rage. "You don't know what you're talking about. I did everything I could for Sam. You think you're the only one who's hurting. You think this is all my fault. How dare you?" By now, Alexis had rushed over, placing herself between her daughters as tears welled in her eyes. "Stop this," she pleaded, her voice breaking. "This isn't what Sam would have wanted. Please, both of you, stop." But it was too late. The dam had burst. Years of sibling rivalry, resentment, and unresolved issues came pouring out. The sisters stood toe-to-toe, each hurling accusations and hurtful words, their voices rising over the murmur of shocked onlookers. "I'm done protecting you, Molly," Kristina seized. "You've always thought you were smarter, better than me. But look at what your perfect decisions have done. Sam is dead because of you." Molly's eyes blazed with indignation. "You don't know anything. You're just looking for someone to blame because you can't deal with your own guilt. You weren't even there for her. You were off doing God knows what while Sam needed you." Jason finally rose from his seat, his face ashen. He approached the altar, the weight of the confrontation finally breaking through his stoic facade. "Enough," he said, his voice low and commanding, but it barely registered with the feuding sisters. Kristina's face crumpled as tears streamed down her cheeks. I should have been there. I should have stopped this. Alexis pulled both her daughters close, trying to contain the emotional explosion that had left the entire church in stunned silence. The service, meant to honor Sam's life, had devolved into a bitter battlefield where long-held grudges and fresh grief collided. As the Corinthos Davis family stood in the aftermath of the chaos, it was clear that nothing would ever be the same. Sam's death had shattered them, and now, in the wake of her loss, it seemed like the Davis sisters' bond might be broken beyond repair.